What's the next move for business owners in the wake of the Supreme Court decision striking down President Trump's so-called Liberation Day tariffs? We're joined now by Justin and Travis Maderia, co-founders and co-CEOs of Lobsterboys. What was the reaction to Friday's decision?
Well, from our standpoint, Gordon, we have a unique setup with our company in the sense that we have two physical locations, one in Canada and one in the U.S., so we're really one of one in the sense that we can navigate these tariff environments a little bit better than most companies may be able to. So it's going to be a big blow to the U.S. companies.
And why? Explain that, Justin. Explain why.
Well, it's just the environment of the tariffs are going to cause 10% is not going to apply to the lobsters, but the U.S. companies in general are going to face the March 1st. There's a deal that went in place from the Canadian side that they made a deal with China that they can ship over there tariff-free, and that'll give them an advantage in shipping to China versus the U.S. companies.
And just to add to that, Gordon, is you can imagine that the lobster trade is very difficult to all countries from the United States right now because of the European Union. There's a VAT tax. There's free trade, but there's a VAT tax on lobsters, especially with our business. And then we had an advantage with China. So that, as Justin just alluded to, is being taken away March 1st because of the new deal with Canada and China. So really, Canada and the U.S. is in competition for trade to the rest of the world with the species that we have.
Explain the consumer or customer impact here. What's it meant, say, for prices when I go to a restaurant or I pick something up at the grocery store?
Yeah, so that's something that we're working well on. With all this trade talk and the tariffs, we have lobsterboys.com, which is the biggest marketplace for live lobster on the internet, and we really just started a year ago, based on bringing truth and transparency back to the fishermen and the consumers. So we grew up as fishermen, as you may or may not know, but you can imagine if we're bringing the lobsters down directly from fishermen in Canada and the United States and distributing them out to restaurants and end consumers all over the country, that is where, that as a business that can flourish in any atmosphere. So we're really trying to bring this tariff and say, yeah, we have to do a little bit overseas in different countries, and especially China because they're the biggest consumer. But we really want the U.S. customer base because we're Americans. We support America first, and that's what we're passionate about. To be honest with you.
Yeah, we're speaking with Justin and Travis Maderia. They are the co-founders and co-CEOs of Lobsterboys, and we're discussing the impact of the Supreme Court's tariff decision. Do you get the sense, or do you know, I guess, I think there was a research paper written that said customers really were picking up like 90% of the tariff cost. Does that sound right to you?
Yeah, so when they say they're picking up the tariff cost, I mean, that's okay, but you can imagine that we're having the best economy, one of the best economies for business, that we've ever had. And I mean, when you say the consumer is picking up the rest of the cost, I mean, how can Trump's offering rebates to all these, tariff income for individuals? He's talking about a $2,000 rebate for all individuals and all Americans. So I would say that there's some added costs maybe on other products, but as far as us exporting out of the country, I wouldn't say there's any added costs to Americans for Canadian product. Because you got to imagine there's the USMCA deal where there's free trade between Canada and the United States. So really, being an exemption to any tariffs from the Trump administration, we have no tariffs to pass on to the U.S. consumer.
That's Justin and Travis Maderia from